Hey guys, so my topic that I am presenting is medical marijuana. And so to begin with the war on drugs, there are many different points of views on how effective it is and or not. And in the world that we live in today, many hard drugs are now becoming legal. For example, Oregon just passed how hard drugs are now becoming lesser of a crime, and they're gonna kind of brush it off a little bit. So Blanco and Spohn say that although the scheduling of controlled substances is based in part of the abuse on the abuse potential and medical utility of a drug, the classification of drugs is often more relevant to law enforcement and criminal justice policies and practices than to the neurobiological actions and chemical structure of these drugs. So, marijuana got its name because of dried and shredded leaves, flower tips, and buds of the cannabis sativa plant. Um, and they go further to say that it is in a unique category of psychoactive drug that has a stimulant, depressant, and hallucinogenic properties as well. So, with the legalization of marijuana, there are many different views of why it should be legal and why it shouldn't be. We see that why it should be legal is because it can help different things like Alzheimer's, seizures, and all that. But then you also have the point of view of the criminal justice system as well. So to begin with, go like my topic, the primary psychoactive ingredient in marijuana is delta 9 THC, which is chemically similar to endogenous cannabinoids found in the brain, and it combines with the cannabinoid receptors in various parts of the brain. So it controls pleasure, memory, motor coordination, and sensory and time perception. So in recent studies, the NIDA funded study published a 2014 that from 1999 to 2010, states with medical cannabis laws experienced slower rates of increase in opioid overdose deaths rates compared to states without such laws. So that was one of the things that I found. But with medical marijuana, we see that as a purpose in the criminal justice system. It is a Schedule I drug, as we've learned, and the criminal justice system sees it as illegal. But many different places are now having it become legal. And it's also punishable as a crime as well. The reason why medical marijuana is significant in the CJUS is because officers in the world today have to distinguish what is medical grade and what is schedule grade. And what I mean by that is what is below a certain percentage, and in this case, it has to be below 0.03% to be medical grade. If it's above that, then it's schedule grade, I should say. So according to Skywood Recovery, there's no standard in quality or production. This is the reasons why there's problems with medical marijuana. So there's no standard in quality or production. There's no dosing standard. Potential for harm through chronic use. Easier access equals increased marijuana abuse. And legalization changes public opinion for potential harm. And this was just put out just this year. What we also see was this is new legislation in many states now. And in Kansas, they reduced the severity level of unlawful possession for drug paraphernalia from a Class A to a Class B non-person misdemeanor. North Dakota reduced the drug possession, including marijuana charge level, from a Class C felony to a Class A misdemeanor for first-time offenders, and establishes probation as the presumptive sentence for low-level, non-violent felonies. Lastly, another significance of medical marijuana is that officers have to be more careful when they pull over someone and whatnot, and they have to distinguish what is medical and what is not. In Arizona, one news channel talks about how Proposition 207 will affect the criminal justice system, and with this proposition, a court case found that starting July 12th of 2021, people previously convicted of select marijuana offenses can petition to have their records expunged. Essentially, this will give people a clean slate, and that's what the whole article about the news station was about. And to go further, if somebody has a marijuana conviction, they were often denied food stamps, they were denied Pell Grants to be able to go to college, and do things that allowed them to be part of our community. Another court case that I found another court case that we can look at is in Pennsylvania. In a Pennsylvania appeals court reversed a judge's ruling that state police didn't have a valid legal reason for searching a car just because it smelled like cannabis, saying they failed to weigh other factors that led to the man's arrest. So, a little background on this is that Timothy Barr was arrested for having marijuana in his car, but it found out that it was medical grade, and they just pulled him. And he had a loaded handgun, which is also, it could be caused an arrest, I should say. And the Judge Maria Dantos, said that the plain smell of marijuana alone no longer provides authorities with probable cause to conduct a search of a subject vehicle. Because it's no longer indicative of an illegal or criminal act, Barr did present a medical marijuana card, and Dantos said that it was unreasonable for troopers to conclude a crime had been committed. There's a news story about a little girl who named Ashley Surin, who was a toddler, and in 2008 she was diagnosed with childhood acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and her doctors gave her several rounds of chemo, and she kept having seizures. So what they tried was marijuana oil, like cannabis oil, and patches. But the problem is she would have to go to school with it, and nurses can't help her with that and whatnot. So that became a big court case. And now she's finally back in school, and the judge gave her a pass on it because it is a medical condition. So what works in law enforcement and what doesn't? Well, 86% of supporters say that medicinal benefits of marijuana are a very important reason for legalization. It's freeing up law enforcement to focus on other things like community policing and all that. To add on, according to the Mayo Clinic, depending on the state, one may qualify for treatment with medical marijuana if you meet certain requirements and any qualifying conditions. So like I said earlier, Alzheimer's, you could have HIV, AIDS, cancer, Crohn's disease, epilepsy and seizures, glaucoma, multiple sclerosis, muscle spasms, and severe chronic pain, just to name a few. So that would be also another purpose to have medicinal marijuana. So what does it look like in the future? Well, under Ohio's new hemp law, which went into effect July 30th, hemp can only have trace amounts no more than 0.3%. Anything above that is illegal in Ohio unless part of the state-regulated medicinal marijuana program. Purdue came out with a rapid test kit that can tell you if it's medical or it has a higher percentage than what it's supposed to have. So that is a 5-minute test instead of having to wait months to get feedback on like a drug screening. So that does that. And I'll have the rest of this attached below on my video, just to give you guys more of an understanding of what I'm trying to get at. So, and plus these tests only cost $14 instead of hundreds of dollars and waiting nonstop for them. So if you guys have more questions, or you guys want to look at my outline, I will have that attached after the video. So thank you guys.